Here at Unlimited Cosmetology, we are now offering our aesthetic program and services to the public. Please come down and enjoy a massage or facial. We offer waxing, lashes, and brow services. Call and set up your appointment today. Services start at 5 p.m. We're located at 102 Broad Street in Hattiesburg.
Well, good morning and happy Father's Day to fathers all over the world. We're celebrating you today. Father's Day started back in 1910 in Spokane, Washington. A lady by the name of Sonora Dodd began this day during that time. And ever since then, we've been celebrating Father's Day. That's what we're going to do today. We want you to sit back and relax because the first thing we're going to do is have some interviews that we did with some gentlemen from Grace Temple Church in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And they're going to talk about the impact that their fathers made in their lives. We're going to toss to that, then we're going to come back and we're going to close it out. So stay tuned.
For a donation of $10 or more, we would like to send you a copy of our signature keychain. For a donation of $20 or more, a copy of our book, Speeches for Any Occasion. We accept PayPal and Cash App. Or send check or money order to Hannah Hopkins Ministries, P.O. Box 17405, Hattiesburg, Mississippi 39404.
In the celebration of Father's Day, I have several gentlemen with me today who are going to be talking about the role that their fathers played in their lives. I'm just so happy you guys took time out of your busy schedule to be with me. So I want to start off by introducing you, audience, to our guest today. Right here to my near right is Marcus Laird, and he's college and adult pastor at Grace Temple Church in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Next to him is Dr. Quan O'Neal, and he is elementary principal at North Forest Elementary School in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And next to him is Dr. Robert Thompson, who is assistant professor of business at William Carey University. Welcome, guys, to Lifting You Higher TV Ministries. Let's start off talking today about what is it like to have a caring father? When you were coming up, were all of your fathers caring fathers? Let's start off with you, Marcus.
I think that was important for me, and one of the things that I thought about as you were saying this was the access that I had to my father. He wasn't just caring, but he was always there, and it was evident to me, and we see it today in today's culture, and we see it evident with young men, as I have seen in the ministry, the lacking of a father figure in a young man's life. But just to go back and look at my own life, my own father, the access that I had to him, and what was evident not only as I had access to him as a father, he was always there at my rehearsals, he was always there at my ball games. But the guys in my life, all of my friends who were young men who didn't have fathers, they were integrated into my family, and my father became their father.
Wow.
So for him to be such a caring father, not just to me, but to take on so many other young men and pull them in and integrate them into the family so they had just as much access to him as I did was so important. I got to see that part of my father in such a caring way, which makes me even more gung-ho about going and caring for young men and being there for them in that way.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So it was not all about his family, it was for other people who needed him.
Yeah, he had open doors for
Wow,
anybody.
that is
There was
awesome.
no closed doors. He was a
yeah.
father to not just me and my brother and my sister, but to many. So,
We need more of that today.
Absolutely.
We do.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dr. O'Neal, what about you?
My father was very caring, and I can recall a conversation that he and I had several years ago on me becoming a father myself. I called him and I said, Dad, I want to tell you thank you for all the ways that you showed me that you cared. At time when I was younger, I didn't realize that, being consistent in even reproof and getting on to me, as I would call it then, was a type of care, but it was. And I was able to call him and have a conversation with him and tell him thank you for being the type of father that would chasten and chastise with care. He was always very straightforward with me. He didn't mince words. But one thing I remember he would always say whenever he would have a conversation with me is, "Do you hear me?" And what he was asking is, "Do you see my heart in this,
Wow.
and my heart for you as I try to point you in the right direction?"
Now, you didn't appreciate that reprimanding when you were little, but now you appreciate it, don't you?
Oh, yes, ma'am, definitely.
Yeah. We learn as we grow older. Okay. What about you, Dr. Thompson?
I would second everything that's been said at this point. My father was not only a father for me and my siblings, but also he was a foster father. And we had 13 foster children over the years, all age ranges and such. But I think it speaks volumes, like you were speaking about, that not only for our family, he was a father for those foster children. He taught Sunday school, so all of those young people, as they were going and growing through Christ and such, he had such an impact on them as well. I've seen them over the years, and they always refer back to that foundation that was laid. So I would just say, like everything that's been said here, is that those caring individuals have such an impact, and that's what our society needs these days.
It does. So he treated the foster children, I'm sure, the same as he treated you all.
Absolutely.
And that was important. That's right.
And we all knew that we could always, he had our back.
Yes.
One thing I would say about Dad is that he'd always say, "We can fix it. Just be honest with me.
Wow.
Tell me what it is, and we'll correct it. We'll do our best to get it.
He had a
straightened out."
positive attitude, didn't he? Yeah. Well, another thing I want to talk to you guys about today is this. In your opinion, what role did your father play in your life that carried over to making you who you are today? We are a product of our environments, so they set the stage for who we become. What would you say about that, Marcus?
I would say that my father was a teacher. Many of the things that I have a twin, and so growing up, there was always
you
double
do?
the trouble.
Okay.
So in everything that we did, whether it was building a fence or building a foundation or whatever it may be that we were doing, he was always teaching us. And with that teaching came discipline. So he always taught us the principle of discipline. And discipline is doing what is right when no one is looking. And so one of the things that he taught us and what helped shape me and who I am today is he taught me what it looks like to be able to listen and to hear clear direction, but also being disciplined as a young man and growing to be disciplined individually. Now, of course, he would have to discipline us to help us stay disciplined. But as I grew as a young man, I now take on those principles that he has taught us, and it has helped me to succeed just in jobs and responsibilities, to be able to be taught, but also to be disciplined in what I'm doing. So those are some of the things that my father taught me and that he poured into me in shaping who I am today. That has served me very well.
That's good. It carried over.
It has carried over.
Okay.
Yes.
What about you, Doctor?
Along the lines of discipline, one of the things that I've learned from my father and that has carried over to me and now my own son is having stick and stay, is what I call it. Sticking with what you've been challenged to do, what you've been told to do, not giving up. My father has worked or did work one job for many years, all of my life, and I can remember when I started my first job, there were times where I thought I had reason to quit, and he said, no, you don't. You stay there. You do the job. Don't give up. Get it done.
Don't we need more of that today?
Yes.
We really do.
So though that's something that has carried over, and not just to do the job haphazardly, but to do your very best at what you do.
That's good. That's good. What about you, Dr. Thompson?
I learned to take responsibility for your life from my dad. His mother was killed by a bus in Manhattan. She was hit by a bus, and back in those days, there was not a lot of options for assistance in helping to raise a young man, plus my uncle. So they ended up, because of my grandfather being from Maine, he was able to find a family that needed some help with chores and such on the farm. So he went to live on a farm as a senior in high school. And my grandfather would, give them some money, but mainly he did chores. So he had to do chores before going to school, had to do chores after school. But he taught me that one of his favorite sayings was, "It is what it is." And he would see people on TV that would play that card about, oh, well, I didn't do the right thing because of this, and I was raised this way, I didn't have this growing up, whatever. And he would say that's excuses. He says, I could have easily gone down a different road. He said, you know right from wrong. And he said, you have to take responsibility for your life. And the other thing that he would always refer to is he would say, life is like a card game. It's up to you to play the best hand you're dealt.
Wow, that's good. That's good. I mean, we learn so much. I can remember when I was young, my dad used to tell me all the time, he said, honey, you have to keep praying. He said, because if you hit a rock long enough and hard enough, one day a chip will fall. And I carried that over. Yeah. Okay, let's name some positive attributes of a faithful father, a father who's faithful.
I think one of the attributes I think about as with the faithful father is a compassionate. And I think about the story of the father in the scriptures of the prodigal son coming back to the father, and the compassion that father showed on his child as he came back after taking his father's inheritance and squandering it. The compassion that father had towards his child, even though he did wrong, even though he went away, and he went away from what his father probably wanted him to do. When he was coming back, the compassion that his father had for his child, even in the midst of doing wrong. There are many times in my young life that I have done wrong, but every time I've come back to my father, he has shown that type of compassion for me, to welcome me back in, to love me well, and just with humility too. Just the goodness of our Heavenly Father is represented in the goodness of our fathers in the kingdom. Because
you can be displeased, but you still show compassion.
That's right.
And we feel that, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
That compassion.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll say one of the attributes of a faithful father is that of sacrifice. And sometimes we don't understand the value of the sacrifices that fathers make until we are in a position of fatherhood ourselves, where we're shepherding or coaching other young people. There again, in conversating with my father as a dad, I've had to call and say, Dad, I thank you. Now I realize what sacrifices you made. The scripture tells us, God so loved the world that he gave. A father is giving. A father always wants their child to have the best. Scripture says that, we being earthly and worldly fathers want our kids to have good things. If they ask for bread, we're not going to give them a stone.
Right. That's right.
We're going to give them the very best we have. And giving the very best that we have is not always something that's tangible. It's not something that's monetary, but showing forth the best character and being the best model you can, sacrificing what the flesh wants to do or how the flesh wants to behave to show forth to your child, this is God's way, and I'm going to sacrifice what I want and my needs to show you.
I like the part where you say it's not always tangible things. Yeah.
I agree again with what's been said. I would say also I learned lead by example from my father. My mother was ill for 10 years, bedridden much of that time. They didn't know exactly what was wrong with her. It was cancer. Anyway, but I saw him through that time. His devotion, his care, his compassion, his empathy, all of those in a nutshell. I saw them on a daily basis. I was there with him all the way through that process, all the way up to when my mother passed. And then my grandfather became ill, the one that I was just mentioning, and he had to come stay with us. Didn't have to, but my dad, of course, brought him down. He stayed with us. We cared with him all the way through till he passed as well. So I was able to watch my dad through that process, and it just showed me what a true father and what he's And I learned to do the exact same thing. I was there for my dad whenever he passed. So I was fortunate to be there through all three at their time of need. And I think that's an honor and a calling.
It is. And I notice you have a lot of compassion for your students. See, what we learn from our fathers, it carries over into our lives.
And I get text messages and emails from students on Father's Day, and it's so reassuring to me as a single man to be able to get
Right.
reassurance that I am making an impact.
And that's what makes a difference. Because somebody needs all of us, don't they?
That's right.
That's exactly right. Well, we're going to get ready to close this thing out, but I have one more thing, and we probably have touched on this already. Can you remember one specific principle that your father taught you that you are still living by today? One particular thing that...
The one thing that my father has always been a stickler about, and it's rolled over into me, and I appreciate it, is to be on time.
Oh,
And it's a small principle. It's
Wow.
a small thing within the big principle of stewardship. But to be on time, we had this saying when I was in the music program at William Carey, was to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. So you get there early, and as you were there early, you were already getting ready to be on time. But to be on time, I mean, if it was us going to church, if it was us going to making plans to go to dinner, it was we were on time. We're 5 minutes early, making sure we're ready, and it has served me well. It's made me prepared for any job that I've ever had, and it has served me well. So to be on time.
Guess what, Marcus?
Yes, ma'am.
I need to learn that principle.
It's not an easy one to learn. It's not an easy one.
Well, you stole what I was going to say. To be on time, but also in being on time, be prepared.
Yeah.
My dad said, always
Yeah.
be prepared. He would often walk through my room to go to work, and he would let me know, okay, remember, the list. Everything needs to be ready by the time I make it home. And if it was something that I needed to get ready for, get prepared for the evening before, we had everything set out, laid out so that I could be productive, be prepared, and get the job done.
That's good. That's great.
With my dad, it was if you're going to do it right, and otherwise don't do it at all. And so, I mean, really, I think all of us agree. There's just commonality here. I mean, everybody
Right.
is just having the
Right.
same common threads that that represent a good father. But that speaks volumes. I think
It
that's
does.
exactly what we're talking about.
It does.
So.
Well, this has been interesting. I forgot the time because you all did such a great job. I can remember the one thing that my parents taught me was always do what you know is right. If everybody else is on the left side, but you have to stand on the right side by yourself, do that. Know who you are and do what you know is right to do. And it's not always easy when the majority is on the other side. But thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to talk with me today. Is there something you want to say? Can we all say together on the count of 3, Happy Father's Day? 1, 2, 3. Happy Father's Day.
If you are being blessed by this program, we need your financial support at this time. Please consider becoming a partner or making a donation to this ministry. Donations can be made using PayPal at Hannah Hopkins Ministries or by mailing your donation to P.O. Box 17405, Hattiesburg, Mississippi 39404. We appreciate your financial support. Please pray about being a part of spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ during this crucial time by making your donation today. If you have a prayer request, please call us. If you don't get an answer, please leave your name and number and someone will call you back.
Maybe you're
watching this program today and you feel like you are a prodigal son, and maybe you were a prodigal son, and fathers, you may have a prodigal son. It reminds me of that story in the Bible. A prodigal is a child who has gone away and did not please their parents. They might spend a lot of money. They might not live a saved life. But real fathers, godly fathers, never give up. They never give out. They never stop praying. This young man, he went out. There were 2 sons, and he told his father, he said, "Father, I want my part of the estate." The father gave the son what he had, and he went away. And when he got away, he had a good time. He was partying. He was having a good time with his friends. But it came to him one day when he had spent all of his money, and he had nobody there to help him. He was hungry. He went out, and he looked at the pigs that he was feeding, and he said, "I wished I could eat the pods that the pigs are eating." That's how low sin will bring you. But a real father never stops praying for their children. God never gives up on us, and we can't give up on our children. And so he decided one day, if I could just get back to my father's table. I know, Father, that I've sinned against you and I've sinned against heaven, but if you will forgive me. The father said, "I don't need to hear that." The father grabbed his son. He kissed his son. He forgave his son. He told the servants, "Go get ready. Bring a ring and put on his finger. Put a robe around his shoulder. Put sandals on his feet." He said, "Because my son that was lost has been found. My son that was dead is alive again." Because that's what real love is all about. It's about never giving up. It's about believing to the end. I can imagine that father would look around the curve and wonder, one day my son is going to come home. One day I'm going to see him come around that curve, come down this hill, and I'm going to embrace him. You see, he could have gotten angry, but the love of God showed him how to love his son. Fathers, if you want to know how to love your boys, how to love your girls, how to love your daughters, how to love your sons, you must first have the love of God on the inside of you. Because when you have the love of God, it shows you, it demonstrates to you how you can love, how you can forgive, how you can heal where there is brokenness, how you can survive where you feel like you had to give up on your children. So don't give up on them. Children, be obedient to your fathers. Show them respect. Show them how much you love them. Show them how much you care for them. How can you do that? You can do that by being obedient. You can do that by living godly principles. You can do that by showing them what they mean to you on a daily basis. Don't wait until Father's Day comes to tell your father you love him. Show him love every day. Show him he's appreciated every day. Go the second mile of the way. Do what he asks you to do, when he tells you to do it, the way he tells you to do it. Because when you do that, you know that you're pleasing God. Then you'll please your father. This is not just for boys now. This is for girls too. We have to love our fathers. We have to obey our fathers. We have to see them as the head of the family. And wives, love your husbands. Be nice to them. Speak kind words to them. Forgive them. If I had to have one word today to put together to describe what this program is all about, it's about 2 words: love and forgiveness. When we love someone, it's easy to forgive. I'm thinking of a song now by Israel, and it says, "It's so easy to love you because you're wonderful. It's so easy to love you because you're glorious." Talking about the Father. If the Father can love us, what can we do for one another? He doesn't ask us to do anything for each of us that he hasn't done for us himself. And so when this young man came home, the prodigal son, they had a big party. They celebrated. They let him know, you are back in the family. You can sit at the table again. You see, when you're a part of the family, you can sit at the table. You can unlock the door because you have the keys and you know how to get in. And just as the Father said, I give you the keys to the kingdom. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. When you come back into the sheepfold, and when you come back into the righteous place in Christ, you can have those same responsibilities and those same same privileges that you had before you left. And so I want to thank God today for all of the fathers everywhere. You are important. We place a lot of emphasis on Mother's Day, but Father's Day is just as important as Mother's Day. I had a godly father. I had a father who was kind. I had a father who was compassionate. His name was Deacon Joseph Hunter. He was a soft-spoken man, but he showed much love. He didn't always talk it, but he showed it. He taught me godly principles. Sometimes he didn't let me do the things that I wanted to do, and I got upset with him. And I said, why can't I do it? Everybody else is doing it. But he was looking beyond what I knew and knowing what I needed. And that's what he did for me. And I thank God for him. I thank God for how he set the example for his children. I thank God for how he took care of his family. I thank God for how he sacrificed. And I thank God that he was a man that believed that with God, all things are possible. So men, stand up, be men, show love, reach out, forgive, sacrifice. You know, a real father is willing to sacrifice for his children, for his wife, for his entire family. So that's what Father's Day is all about. It's about loving. It's about forgiving. It's about reconciliation. It's about restoration. It's about favor. And it's about grace. The grace of God. If God had grace for us, then we ought to have grace for our earthly fathers. If the fathers have grace for you children, you ought to have grace for your fathers. They may not have been perfect, but they were there. They loved you. And you are there because they were there. Had not it been for them, you wouldn't be watching this program today, because it was from them that you came. So pray together, stay together, live together, worship together, love together, believe together, and stand together as one. Because where there is unity, there is power, there is strength. Great things can happen when we come together. So children, take your fathers out to eat. Wives, take your husbands out to eat. Enjoy this day. Thank God for this day. And bless each other this day. Show each other how much they are appreciated. You see, sometimes we just don't show enough appreciation. But appreciation, my friend used to say this, thank you is a small word, but it means a lot. He said, thank you is poor pay. That's what he said, but it means a lot. So tell them today, thank you, Daddy. Thank you for what you did. Until this time, I want to tell you today to be blessed and enjoy this happy Father's Day all over the world. Thank you.
If you are being blessed by this program, we need your financial support at this time. Please consider becoming a partner or making a donation to this ministry. Donations can be made using PayPal at Hannah Hopkins Ministries or by mailing your donation to P.O. Box 17405, Hattiesburg, Mississippi 39404. We appreciate your financial support. Please pray about being a part of spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ during this crucial time by making your donation today. If you have a prayer request, please call us. If you don't get an answer, please leave your name and number and someone will call you back. For a donation of $10 or more, we would like to send you a copy of our signature keychain. For a donation of $20 or more, a copy of our book, Speeches for Any Occasion. We accept PayPal and Cash App. Or send check or money order to Hannah Hopkins Ministries, P.O. Box 17405, Hattiesburg, Mississippi 39404.